Good morning. I apologize for being late on making the video for yesterday. My life kind of took a diversion yesterday, so I apologize for that. This week we're in week 2 already of 8. Week 2 we're going to be working on IEP goals, specifically measurable and how do we monitor the progress of a student. Several of you have written to me saying you don't have access to an IEP or you weren't sure. So if you don't, there is a sample one, grade 6, in the class that you can use. So what you're going to do is read the articles. You're going to talk about, in the first post, you're going to talk about measurable objectives using the articles. You're going to talk about criteria. How do you decide 70%, 80%, 90%? How do you decide that for a student? How is that decision made? You're going to talk about how do you know what percentage. So he's going to do it with 80% accuracy, 4 out of 5 trials. How do you decide that? Have a conversation. You don't have to have the right answer. It's the conversation that we'll have in the class. So the next thing you're going to do is practice section 6 of the IEP. Section 6 is pretty critical. It's writing goals and objectives. And I tell my undergrads, when you think about writing goals for an IEP, think about it like losing weight. Your goal is to lose 10 pounds. That's the overarching goal. What do you want to happen in the school year? So let's think about losing weight. We're going to lose 10 pounds. The objectives are, what are the steps that we're going to use to lose weight? We might exercise 3 days a week. We might try to get our resting heart rate up to whatever, 140 beats a minute. We might eat 4 servings of vegetables a day of half a cup. We might weigh ourselves twice a week, whatever. You get the idea. So the overarching idea of writing goals and objectives is, what's our goal? What do we want to accomplish in a year's time, a school year time? And what are the steps we're going to take? If you're new to writing IEPs, I know many of you are in the field, a couple of you are not yet, so no panic, no panic. When we think about writing IEP goals, I break it up and tell students that to make it doable, think 1 goal, 4 objectives. 4 objectives because first 9 weeks, second 9 weeks, third 9 weeks, fourth 9 weeks. That's not how it always works, but that's how sometimes you can make it make sense in your head. What are the 4 objectives that we're going to have the student do? The 4 things, the measurable things that we're going to have them do to meet the goal. So see if, I'm hoping that will help you. The big project this week, and I printed the individualized directions for your assessment notebook. And it looks a little meaty, but if you do it a section at a time, I think it will make sense. So you're going to make an assessment notebook, and you can attach this in Moodle with just a Word document if that works for you. You're going to choose 1 student in your classroom that's available that you've served with an IEP, or use the IEP that we have given you. Gain written permission to use their objectives. Choose 3 of the IEP objectives. Develop a progress monitoring system. So what we want you to do is look at the objectives. You know, Johnny's going to read 3rd grade Dolch sight words, the first 40 with 50% accuracy, 4 out of 5 trials. Look at the objective. How am I going to monitor that? How will I know what the baseline data is on week 1, and then how am I going to monitor it? So imagine you're actually the intervention specialist for the student, and the principal comes in and says, how's Johnny doing this week? How will you know what to tell the principal or the special ed coordinator? And most importantly, how will you know what to tell the parent when you send progress notes home at interim time and grade card time? So in your notebook, you're going to list the 3 objectives. Make sure there's nothing identifiable of the student's name or the district or the address, etc. Include the monitoring sheets that you'll use. It doesn't have to be fancy. We live in a world of the internet. You can Google progress monitoring sheets. Good teachers borrow good stuff. So don't make it harder than it needs to be. Include the sheets, and in here we've given you an example of how you might do that. So I hope that helps. If it's still confusing, because it is kind of a meaty assignment with some pretty deep thinking about, we've written the objectives, we've written the goal, sorry, we've written the goal, we've written the objectives, and now we are going to monitor that. We're going to progress monitor that information, and that is hard. But you as an IS will be the one that's responsible for measuring that. So think that through, look at the assignment, look at the rubric, and if you have questions, please send me an email. I apologize, I had a death in my family and it derailed me for a minute. So this is late. If your assignment postings or your assignment, you need some grace because of my late video, please just let me know. I'll work with you because life happens. I understand that. So take care, stay dry. You probably can't see behind me, but yep, it's still raining. So let me know if you need me, and I wish you the best on week 2.